Hello everybody. What we're going to have a look at in today's quick hints and tips video is we're going to investigate what word classes are. I'm going to give you some definitions, some explanations, and some sort of everyday, most common used examples. Hopefully as well, should give you a couple of hints and tips just to help cement what each of them are in your head. So this is useful for both level 1 and level 2 functional skills English, as you may need to be able to identify what some of these words are in your reading exams. So what we're going to start with, there are 5 main word classes, and we're going to start by going into what verbs are. So verbs are doing words. They are things that we do. So if we have a think about what we are doing right at this very moment, I mean, sit there and go, right, what am I doing? I'm holding my hands up, I'm wiggling my fingers, breathing, thinking, sitting, talking, and no, what do all these words end in? They all end in ing. If a word can be conjugated to end in ing, chances are it's a verb. If it's something you can do, we are looking at a verb. Now, moving on from verbs, we're going to talk about how we describe what we're doing. And for that, we're going to be using adverbs. So obviously, we know it's to do with doing something because we've got the word verb in there. But if we talk about how we are thinking, breathing, talking, we can describe that by adding an adverb. So rather than I am sitting, I am breathing, I am thinking. How am I breathing? Am I breathing quickly, slowly? Am I struggling? You think about the words that you use. The examples we've got here: quickly, slowly, thoughtfully, gratefully. There's things like happily. And good hint, a lot of adverbs, not every single one, but a lot of them end with that sound of li. They end in ly. Doesn't apply for every single word across the English language. Of course, there's going to be ones that don't fit that rule. However, a lot of them do. So we have verbs, what we are doing. We have adverbs, which describe how we're doing it. Then we're going to move on to the third one, nouns. Noun is a name. Think about the things that you can see in front of you. Curtains, cups, hairbrushes, all of these are objects. All of these are the names of those objects. And personally, I like to make little links in my mind, and I literally think nouns begins with an N. Noun is a name, N and N, noun and name. And if I remember, noun is the name of a thing, an item, then we've got it. Now, as with all of these word classes, we do have some further sort of subcategories. So as part of nouns being names of things, we have to think about, okay, so what kind of things are we talking about? For example, if we're talking about a person's name, instead of saying their name multiple times, I saw Sarah this week and Sarah said this, Sarah said that, Sarah ate a sandwich. We replace repeating their name with a pronoun. So it's basically when we replace somebody's name by saying he, she, they, it instead. They're the most common pronouns. Pronouns have become somewhat of a discussion sort of in the zeitgeist at the moment, with people not wanting to use gendered pronouns. So he for masculine, she for feminine. And therefore it can make things grammatically a little bit interesting, but it is something that we need to be aware of, and language does change as and when we use it. So a pronoun is a word we use to replace someone's name. And the example we've got here, I've put John likes fish. John really likes it with chips. John prefers fish over everything else. Once you've said their name once at the beginning, John likes fish, you can then replace it, in this case with he. He really likes it with chips. He prefers it over everything else. And it actually gives it a much better flow. We can repeat pronouns without it sounding as repetitive. Now, the last type of noun that we're going to have a look at are proper nouns. And we've actually used one in that sentence there. Proper nouns are the names of specific people, places, and company names. So we said a noun could be a cup, but that could be any cup. If we're talking about something that is specific, like a specific person's name, it's a proper noun. Specific place is a proper noun. And that goes as far as things like sports clubs, company names, and all of these have capital letters. So if we're talking about any sports ground, that's just a noun. It's the name of any sports ground or a park. If we were talking about a specific sports ground, Nottingham sports ground, there's only one. Therefore, it has a capital letter on the beginning of each of the words in its title. Same as if I was talking about going to the park, that's fine. That's just a noun. It's just the name of a place I'm going. But if I'm going to a specific noun, if I say I'm going to Endcliffe Park, then Endcliffe will have a capital E and park will have a capital P, because those two words are proper nouns. They are the name of that specific park that we are visiting. The last word class that we're going to have a look at is adjectives. Adjectives are ways that we describe items. So, for example, I have here a tin of hairspray. The first adjective I'm going to use is I'm going to say it's yellow, because that's the most obvious thing about it. It is the easiest way to use, it's the most obvious adjective, is to say its colour. I could also talk about its shape, its size, and if I was to write something descriptive, I would talk about maybe how does it feel, how does it smell, touch, taste, and use the senses. So anything that is a describing word, and the most common ones are shapes, sizes, colours. So if I said I'm going to the park, I'm going to the lovely. Lovely is an adjective. If I'm going to the beautiful, beautiful is an adjective. So it's not just talking about its physical description, it's giving any words that describe the item. So an adjective describes an item, an adverb describes an action or something that we are doing. So that's it, just the quickest of run-throughs of those different word types. I hope that the examples I've given and the explanations will help you out a little bit when it comes to identifying what is what. If you need any further help, advice or guidance, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I can send you in the direction of a couple of really helpful websites, as well as sending some appropriate work through for you to practice on. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.